Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are SP Film Viewers.
And today's film that Sophie will be talking about is Pulp Fiction.
Yep, so it came out in 1994.
Yeah, so a couple of years after Reservoir Dogs, which we've reviewed previously. What's your first impressions, really, before we go into...
It's light-hearted, but not. You have to concentrate, because it flips a lot back and forth. It is a good movie, but it's kind of like little shorts film, even though it's all one film.
Yeah, it's sort of broken into segments.
And it's not in order.
No.
So it's a little bit like a bit of a head scratch of how the order should be, because you know me, I like to be organised and I like my order, and I like a good ending and a good beginning and a good middle, and this is just like a jigsaw that's been perfectly made, and then somebody's kind of just gone rip and flipped it upside down, and all the jigsaw pieces are the wrong way around now and one piece is missing. So
yeah, that's one way of looking at it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that it's a bad way of it. It is a unique style that I've not really seen before.
Okay.
And I had to ask a lot of questions of like initially when I was getting into it, like what's going on, what's happening, who's this, and I always think you've got like a main lead.
Yeah, this one's more of a ensemble cast of people. You haven't really got a main lead, except maybe John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson's characters.
Now I think this is strange because you did say this to me that you thought they were the lead, and I thought Bruce for a bit and became the main man as well. So I feel like there's a couple of men that have the main character.
The main story that drives the story along, yeah.
I do think it's a bit like Love Actually, but at least Love Actually kind of has its same coherent. But obviously you've got your different kind of
but
character story kind of going on.
They are intertwined, but it's not the same.
No, it's not the same. No,
it's very, very, very different from Love Actually.
But even with Love Actually, I do feel like you do have a main character.
Who's that then?
The Prime Minister.
No,
I feel like he gets the main part.
No, I don't see that.
The big thighed
Anyway, we're not talking about
lady.
Love Actually. Well, we're talking about Pulp Fiction. So we'll
no, you see where I'm coming from, don't you?
No, I don't. Sorry, I don't agree with you on that.
Why? It's still like the same. Oh, maybe Game of Thrones then, where you've got like all these different houses. I think it just flits a lot, and you've got different stories, but they're all interlinked.
Yes, that's what you call an ensemble.
I don't know.
Of like, so that everybody sort of has the fair share of. There's not one particular standout.
In my head there always is, but in this one there wasn't really, and I always still think I have a lead, even though there isn't meant to be one. There is a leading part of the story that I'm more.
Okay, so yours is. What you think is Bruce Willis's character, Butch?
I believe so.
Right, so we'll try and dissect all these bits if we can.
Well, it's not going to be in order anyways, because the film isn't in order.
Of course not, no. But...
So, from the very beginning, from what I can remember, there is this lady and Mr. Orange from Reservoir Dogs in a cafe.
It's obviously not Mr. Orange, it's the same guy who's...
But we're going to refer to him as Mr. Orange because we don't know I don't know his name.
He's just called Pumpkin in this, he hasn't actually got a...
And what does
Honey Bunny.
Honey Bunny. I think that'd annoy me a little bit if you started calling me Honey Bunny. It feels a bit patronising. So initially it feels like they're just having a normal kind of conversation. You just think they're a normal kind of
in a cafe,
couple.
Yeah.
Until they're on about like robberies that they've done in the past. And then they're like kind of think it's a good idea to rob a restaurant or a cafe or something like that. And they think instead of planning it, just like, oh, we'll just
do it right now.
Yeah, go off and do it right now and not thought through with it. Mm-hmm. This part is not, you feel like it's kind of been wasted at the beginning and it's not really a key part. And initially I thought they were your main characters because I wasn't aware.
Right.
And you kind of forget about this bit in the movie because you don't really see these characters
till later on.
Till later on. You don't. It kind of flits there and stops, and you're like, oh, okay then. So you don't even know how the robbery is gone or anything like that until quite late on in the movie.
Yeah, so it brings full circle with them in a sense.
Yeah, it does eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just like, initially when you're watching it, you're a bit like a head scratch.
Switches your expectations of what's gonna
happen, or sometimes you're like, am I in the future? Am I in the present?
Mhm.
Which part am I actually meant to be in? So then there's some quite good opening music.
Yeah, very iconic.
Which I referred to as the Black Eyed Peas song.
Only because they sampled it, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very musical either, so I didn't even know that was actually a thing of not the Black Eyed Peas. I literally didn't know this. I was like, that's just the Black Eyed Peas song. That's just, obviously it's like an instrumental piece.
Yeah.
Then you've got Jungle Boogie.
Okay. Yeah, this is when it sort of like transitions into the next scene where we meet our other two characters who are listening to that song in the car radio.
So then you get a really, really, really young Samuel Jackson and a chubbier version of Danny from Grease.
Yeah, I gotta say.
Is not the Danny Zuko.
Yeah, he's put on a bit.
Yeah, he has, yeah. And he looks haggard a little bit in it. He doesn't look, well, I kind of found him appealing as Danny Zuko, and then I saw him with this and long hair, and I was
Grease slicked back hair.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not a big fan of this at all. So, basically you kind of get to know a little bit of their background, and they're kind of just having a conversation while they're on the job.
Yeah, again, this is what Tarantino likes to do in his films. He likes to have people having like meaningful conversations about certain aspects of just day-to-day stuff. And
yeah, I did like. I enjoyed that actually.
And a bit more like explaining things for audience might not know what a TV pilot is or whatever, but I think most people do know what that is. But
maybe not back then.
Maybe, yeah.
Not as much, possibly. I don't know. So he's on about basically they've got a boss, and at this moment you don't really know what their job is or what they kind of are entailed in.
Yeah.
But basically we find out that this man was pushed off a building, and I think it might be because he gave their boss's man's wife a foot massage.
Right, yeah.
So they're kind of having this confab up and down, like, oh no, I don't think it's that. And,
yeah.
Oh, well, it could be, really over a foot massage. What do you think a foot massage means?
Yeah.
What does a foot massage mean to you, Paul?
Not a right lot. Because
So
I'm not a fan of touching feet.
So I could have a random man massage my feet and it'd be okay?
If it was in a professional situation, yeah.
What about if it was one of your friends and you wouldn't do it for me, but they would?
Found it a bit weird, but...
So you're on the case of, like, the other one saying, so you'd push a man off a building if they did massage my feet?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
But why would you deprive me of someone massaging my feet that I don't have to pay if you're not going to do it?
This is just because I don't like touching people's feet, isn't it? Or having feet.
That's not fair. It's not fair. So basically, men don't want to touch your feet, in Paul's example, but would push a man off a building if they touched their wife's feet. That's what we've established in that conversation. Yeah. So they're then going... Am I right in saying they're going to... Does it go to the diner part?
No, it doesn't, no.
It doesn't, no.
No,
it goes into that, where there's like these young boys.
An apartment with some of the best dialogue is in the film.
It is quite funny, actually. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson is really, really good. John Travolta does nothing in this scene.
Stands in the corner. He looks at the briefcase where they're collecting this, what's referred to in films and books as a MacGuffin. Have you heard that term before?
No.
A MacGuffin is like an object or a device in a film or a book, which is like used to move the plot along, but it's no real relevance to the audience of what it is.
So you mean there might have been nothing in the briefcase and we didn't know what's in the briefcase?
Well, you see when he looks in the briefcase, don't you? It's like this gold light, but we don't know what he's actually looking at. And we don't need to, it's none of our concern, but it's just to move the story along.
Well, what did you think were in the suitcase? Money?
Well,
or diamonds,
or gold bars or something by this way it's shimmering, but it could be
something wealth, isn't it? That's all I established with it, was like it's money or something that's worth a hell of a lot.
It'd be a golden gun for all I know.
But that word would be in the dictionary. MacGuffin. MacGuffin? MacGuffin.
Well, certainly if you type in Google, it comes up. I don't know if it's actually a...
How have you come across that word?
They use it in like Hitchcock films as a plot point as well.
I did not know that. Anyone else that didn't know that, please let me know, because unless I'm just really uneducated, which obviously I am, because this is why we do these film reviews. So he's quite humorous with it, and he's not really like, if I were interrogated by him, I would laugh,
Well,
which wouldn't go well.
it would not
but
go well.
with his lines he was saying, it is quite humorous
Yeah,
and it's quite funny. You do kind of get to see that they have the briefcase, and it kind of stops there. Does it? Do they?
They have a shootout, yeah.
They have a shootout, don't they?
Well, not a shootout as such, because him and John Travolta shooting him up before he delivers his, was it Ezekiel 25 passage from the Bible before he does
the actual murdering.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite apt, isn't it? Really, it's like, that's not how God would want you to go about life, is kind of quote a verse from the Bible and then shoot somebody. It doesn't justify it, does it?
No. Just makes it seem cool. And
they shoot everyone apart from one guy.
Yeah, and then it'll cut to introduction of Bruce Willis's character Butch talking to Marcellus Wallace about like flunking the boxing match at the end of going down in the last round to get the winnings for the match.
And then obviously you get Samuel Jackson and John Travolta walking in, being like, well, who's this guy, kind of thing. And you can tell that they've changed their clothes in this scene, but you don't actually know why
they're in t-shirts,
and shorts. It's like, that's a bit weird. You're in suits before. What's going on? And then they're joking about the fact that John Travolta's having to take out the boss, Marcella's wife, saying, "Oh well, don't be giving her foot massage and such because, you might get pushed off a building." So obviously John Travolta's like trying to take it quite seriously and not want anything to go wrong, because if he does, it'll be his life on the line, basically. Now this was my favourite part, if I'm honest, him taking out his boss's wife. I really enjoyed the characterisation of this part, and I really liked actually the wife of the character. She was quite amusing to me, actually. I think she had quite a bit of more character building in comparisons to other ones. You kind of got to know her a bit more, and she was a bit kooky.
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
Obviously, they kind of did end up getting along quite well. So he turns up at her house.
Yeah, before this point though, he'd just been to get some drugs from his dealer.
Oh, yeah. So he's got some in his pocket, I think for later.
But he's shooting up in the car already.
I think more just like a little bit of a calm relief, because he's probably a bit stressed about the fact that he's got to take out his boss's wife, and he's hoping that it's going to go well. So she beeps him in through like the telecom thing, and she's like talking to him like then on a
surveillance cam.
But then when he comes in, she's still talking like on the antennae, and like, make yourself comfortable, get a drink, and she's watching how he is, what he's doing, what kind of character he is. She's kind of sussing him out before she actually meets him. And she comes down the stairs. Yeah,
because they cut to a shot of her feet.
I like that shot.
Which is again another Tarantino thing. He seems to have a foot fetish.
But I thought it was quite funny because it linked in straight away with the foot massage.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
So I quite liked that the first thing you kind of actually saw of her was, obviously you saw like her lips, you didn't see her actual face. And then you saw her feet.
Next shot, yeah.
So I quite liked that. I thought it was quite clever the way you did it.
Yeah, so then they pull up next shot to this place called Jack Rabbit Slim's, where they go for their food.
So it's like an American diner, but you've got like Marilyn Monroe, waitress, and
Buddy Holly and stuff like that,
Yeah, and sat in like a car, which has got a table in the middle. Notice it's like typical American diner, so she orders like a burger and a milkshake.
$5 milkshake.
$5 milkshake. Back then that must have been extortionate.
Yeah, it's five. You get a milkshake for $5 or £5 these days.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must be really expensive back then.
Must have been really good then for it to have that value.
Yeah.
So you can see that the conversation at this point is kind of a bit stretched and a bit harder between the two characters. He's not really let his guard down too much.
No.
He's still knowing that he's kind of on a date with his boss's wife, pretty much, which is a bit awkward.
More or less, yeah.
And he's never met her before and such, so it is a bit strange. And she's kind of a bit of a free spirit and a bit flirtatious.
Mm-hmm.
So she's said to him basically, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and if you could think of something to say to me.
Yeah, because you mentioned about comfortable silences that we all feel we need to fill the void with mindless chit chat just to fill silence, because we don't, as people, we don't really tend to like sitting not saying anything
Unless you're really comfortable with somebody, then you can probably feel that way. But I notice myself sometimes, if I'm not in a comfortable situation, I will just yabba yabba on and talk. But like with me and you, I can feel comfortable in our silence, and I can sit and not
I'm the same. Yeah,
to talk to you.
I don't see a problem with that, because it is good when you have that ability to do that. So
yeah, got something good going on.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a twist contest, which this kind of refers back to how I knew about Pulp Fiction, to be honest.
Yeah, because you said you'd seen it on a Strictly Come Dancing dance, where somebody did what was the
It was movie week, so it was
right.
a jive that they did.
Jive, that was it, right?
And I was like, oh yeah, I know the Pulp Fiction dance. It's a jive, and it's...
And I said, no, I don't think you do, because that'll be a professional thing. It won't just be what was in this, and there'll be a bit more to it in that, because there's no way that on the professional dance show they'd have what they did in this.
I actually had kind of high expectations of my Strictly dance. Even though you'd forewarned me, I was like, well, why would they have done it on Strictly if it's not an actual dance? This is what I was thinking in my head. It's like, well...
It's hardly a dance at all.
It is hardly a dance. It is a bit laughable, actually, the dance. And it's a bit of a weird dance, because you can tell they both... Well, John Travolta feels really uncomfortable. You can see he's like stiff as a board. He's like not knowing what to do with himself. And I'm thinking... Wait a minute, he's been like Saturday Night Fever. He knows how to dance. You know, he's been Danny Zuko. He's got moves, and he's like, and it's like, it's so bizarre. He could have moved way better. She had like all these quirky moves and pretended to be like a duck and doing the... Is that the fish thing? Where you're like in a tank or something?
What was the duck thing?
You're like doing this.
Oh, right. Okay, I don't think there was that. I know it was the bit they doing the eye.
They were.
Thing. Oh, there was, yeah, like
shuffle, looking like a duck.
Right, okay. I think
like flapping the wing kind of things. And then they did the fish.
Yeah.
Tank, and then
the eye, whatever that's called.
Groove.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I couldn't really call it a twist contest. Like when I'm thinking of a twist contest in my head. By the way, I'm a big Strictly fan. I just thought you guys need to know this beforehand before I slag off anybody's dancing. I love Strictly to the bits. So when twist contest, I'm thinking of like in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like in Greece, they have a twist contest, and you twist. You know, like your body, you twist. It's like it's a twist.
More than what they were doing.
So I'd got in my head this dance from Strictly, which was from Jay and Aliona, and it was in 2015, and they got 10s across the board. So I've got a high expectation for this dance, even though you tried to squish it down. It didn't work, and then when I was done, I was like, what was that? Because in the Strictly one, it was a jive, so the legs were flicking and clicking and everything. It was amazing. I actually showed you after, didn't I?
Yeah, you paused the film and said, right, this is what I was expecting. And it's like, yeah, no, you were totally misguided there. So they win the trophy.
How they win the trophy?
I don't know how they won the trophy, because, like, what were the other people doing? Were they just standing on the spot, jumping up and down, or flopping around on the floor or something to win?
I think they won it out of laughableness, basically, the fact that it was different.
Or she or he threatened them, saying, like, I know Marcellus Wallace, so you better give me the trophy. Or he's going to come kill you.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did say that.
Yeah, it's probably the more logical thing, other than everybody else is just, like, absolutely terrible. But so then, obviously, go home with the trophy back at the house, drops her off.
I think she has this weird dance moment while John Travolta goes into the toilet and has a talk to himself. She's having a dance. I don't know what the song is. Do you?
It's called "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon."
What do you think?
I think it's a Neil Diamond song. I'm not entirely sure, but it's like off the top of the other music they've been playing previously is pretty good as well, isn't it?
Yeah. All of it's quite good.
Dusty Springfield and all that.
kind of just bobs along, don't
Yeah,
you, to it?
yeah.
It's got a good tune to it.
Soundtrack, yeah.
It would have a good soundtrack, definitely.
So then once she's done, she finds he's got the drugs that he's been to get before, this very potent
So she's already been doing some
cocaine that
drugs
she's
beforehand, though. She did like a
lying,
line
yeah, in the
beforehand,
bathroom,
and then
yeah.
did another one, and then stumbled across, because for some reason she was wearing his coat. I'm guessing she was cold.
Yeah.
And she stumbled across his drugs, which I'm guessing were extra strong drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, so sniffs that, and there's a very bad reaction to it.
While John Travolta's still in the toilet saying, "You're just gonna have one drink and then you're gonna go home. No funny business."
Yeah.
Kind of, and then he finds her like foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, basically like an OD situation. So I'm going to get her to drives frantically to where he got the drugs from and say, "I need to get, she's ODing on me. Can I get a needle or something to bring her back to life or whatever?" She's like, "Oof, I would not want to be in a situation."
Oh no, I definitely. Well, I was saying to you, like, well, what do you do in the situation? Obviously, I've not done anything like that before in my entire life, so I would not know what to do with somebody if they came to me with that situation. And it's like, well, it's scary where they have to put the needle and what, and it's like, I know you have to do it, but it's not like it's in a calm environment, is it? Where it's just like you just have to do what you've got to do just to try and rescue somebody's life. I guess that's with any illness, anyways, but.
Yeah, because he's like, put a magic marker where I'm supposed to pierce the skin. No, if I did that, I'd probably be like, "Oh, I missed."
Yeah, or I put it in my red marker's the wrong bit. Yeah. But I think as well, it's a situation of they can't really take her to the hospital.
No, of course you can't.
So that's the worst part, where at least, if you've got something else wrong with you, at least you can go to hospital and someone professional can kind of fix you up. So he does actually revive her.
Yeah, and then takes her back home then said, like, let's not mention any of this ever happened type of thing.
And they've got a really good relationship, I think, by the end of the night. They have actually grown.
Yeah.
And I'd like to probably have seen that relationship grow and develop a bit more, but you don't get that.
No. So
then it flips to Bruce Willis, which was called Butch.
Yeah.
And he's just done his fight, hasn't he?
Yes.
And he ends up killing a man that he did have the fight with.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what he was meant to do.
No.
He was meant to kind of lose at the end, wasn't he? But
for some reason he's
changed his mind.
Knock him out to
death.
Death, yeah.
Which I think is a bit brutal, really. Shouldn't be allowed to do that in boxing, I don't think. So, basically then, he gets into this taxi, doesn't he? And it takes him back to kind of apartment.
Yeah.
Which this woman, which is obviously, I don't know, girlfriend, partner, something to him.
Yeah.
Which I didn't actually recognise what accent she had. I really am poor with accents, I know. Like, I get Irish and Scottish mixed up, don't I?
Yeah.
And
I've a feeling it's supposed to be like a French accent. I could be totally wrong. But
well, initially, I thought she was like Japanese or something. I don't know why. At a glance, I thought she was like, because she had short hair and it was like browny black hair.
Right.
And the way that she was looking, and she was quite small and petite. She's kind of quite naive.
Yeah, she doesn't truly grasp the situation she's in.
There was one part which I thought was really, really bizarre.
It
was when she was laid on the bed, saying, "I want a pot belly."
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I wouldn't want a pot belly. I'm thinking if I was as thin as you, I'd be quite happy. And what line? I don't know what woman would say they'd want a pot belly. I'm pretty sure no woman in the right mind would say that. What man would? If you had a choice, like let's say you're creating a sim or you're creating yourself, I'm pretty sure everyone will go with a flat stomach.
Yeah, exactly. That's the dream, isn't it?
Wouldn't create a pot belly.
No.
Never ever once heard somebody say they'd want that. So when she was like, I thought when she said that she wanted to be pregnant. That's what she was classing as a pot belly.
No, I think she genuinely meant having a bit of a stomach to it. But
she ate loads anyways.
She may as well have done, yeah.
She may well have had a pot belly. It's one of those situations where it's just not fair. So they kind of have like a kiss and a cuddle and a romantic scene going on.
Yeah. Until
he loses his self a little bit with the fact that this woman has risked her life. She's packed all this stuff for him. They're meant to be running away together. And she forgets this watch.
Yes. There was a bit before this, wasn't there, where a bit backstory about when he was younger. His his friend's father from the war came and gave him this heirloom, basically, of this golden watch that...
Yeah, but he didn't sell it very well. He sold it at the beginning and then basically said that his dad and him had to shove it up...
His ass.
Yeah, up his bottom.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, how did you have to get that out? What other way can it come out, really?
Yeah, I mean, you put it up there, it's going to come out the same way it came in, innit?
But covered in something else.
Yeah, so...
Probably.
I'd say. I hope that's been cleaned properly.
Yeah.
When you give it to me.
So I was like, I'm not really thinking that this watch, once you've given like this 9-year-old child saying I've shoved it on my bottom, here you go, is a great thing.
Yeah. So then she doesn't seem to have packed the watch in the suitcase for whatever reason.
Well, she's had a lot to think of, hasn't she? All he's had to do is kill a man and then drive to wherever.
Yeah, but he didn't mean to kill a man, did he? He didn't even know, because he said that in the cab ride there. He was like, oh, didn't realise I'd done him in that bad.
Well, that's his own fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
But she was left with all the organisation to get everything sorted. And she did get everything else that he needed.
Yeah, but as you said, she didn't know how great of importance this watch was to him, because what his whole family have had to go through to
have
that watch. So it's very precious to him. So it's
sentimental, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if he hadn't highlighted that to her, then how is she meant to know? She's not a mind reader.
Yeah.
He did say pick up the watch, but
Yeah.
To me, if I just forgot.
She was convinced that she had done it, but when he gets there, it's obviously not done, because it was blatantly there.
And a part of me thinks, well, why are you going back for the watch? I know it's sentimental, but at the end of the day, do you want to risk your life for this watch? Yeah. You've not got a chance, mate. Once you get there, you're going to get killed.
Yeah. So he does go back into his apartment.
And then he decides, oh, the coast is clear, I'll make some Pop-Tarts. And it's like, what are you doing? People are definitely looking for you. Why do you think it's an appropriate time to make some Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, I remember there was one time where I was watching this film and I was like, oh, I really fancy a Pop-Tart. Don't know why.
Good advertisement there,
yeah. But it wasn't actually like the proper Pop-Tart, it was some American brand.
Knockoff version.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, I really fancy Pop-Tart now. Anyway. But yeah, it turns out there is somebody in the apartment, because there's a big, massive gun just on the kitchen countertop.
Which I still think, if you were trying to kill somebody or you were in their apartment, if you're going to the toilet, take your gun with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the lesson that you've learned from this movie. Yes. Don't leave it lying around so someone else can pick it up and shoot you.
Exactly, yeah.
Which happens.
Yeah. So
this is where it gets a bit confusing, because then John Travolta dies.
Yeah, he gets blown back. Like, pretty much. This massive gun. He's got like a silencer on it, but like blooming heck, I don't think there'd be much silencing from what much damage it did. But no. Anyway.
And as well, the fact that then Bruce leaves his Pop-Tarts to burn, so then the smoke alarm starts beeping.
Yeah, I would have definitely gone and shut that off, because then that's probably giving attention, isn't it, to everybody in the apartment block.
Yeah, well, initially I didn't think it was the Pop-Tarts that were doing it. I thought it was like the smoke of the gun or something that had caused it.
No.
So then he actually gets away scot.
Free, or so he thinks.
So he thinks.
Yeah. Gets the gun in his car again, and then he comes across, he's waiting at the lights, and then Marcellus Wallace happens to be
conveniently
walking across the lights, and he kind of stops and goes, there's like a iconic scene, I think it's been in the Simpsons or something else as well, probably, I think.
Simpsons, is it really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay.
And the following sequence sort of happens as well.
In The Simpsons?
Yes, in an episode. So it's parodied. Not as brutal as it gets, but yeah, similar thing. So yeah, so you can walk across the and he looks, and Emma's like, oh, Jesus. And then like drives into him just to...
He's trying to get away, isn't he? But he doesn't succeed because he ends up driving into a wall.
Yeah, going to crash into the car, which, yeah.
So then, obviously, you've got both of them injured, people saying, I'll be a witness for you, and then the other guy, like, trying to look after.
Shooting at him and running after him.
So it's kind of like a bit of a comedy scene, this is. Until
someone else does get shot, though. So it's not that funny.
Until then, they kind of go into another shop. This is where it gets weird and wonderful for me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I didn't know that this would be happening. I didn't really expect.
Yeah, it just take a quite dark turn in a sense.
Yeah.
This hillbilly, gun-toting American
I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like, I've seen all these other different kinds of scenarios, and this was not one that I picked up that was going to happen. So, basically, initially I thought this guy was quite good in the hillbilly shop. It was bringing a cop, and they were going to take these two in to prison. That's what I thought was the case.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
It's not. It's like a little bit of a gangbang kind of thing.
Yeah, they basically end up, both of them get knocked out and then taken down to the basement and got a ball gag in the mouth and tied up.
Which one's going to basically get raped? That's what they're doing out.
Yeah.
So they're kind of making it light-hearted, but it's not. And obviously, Marcelo the boss gets picked, and Bruce is able to untie himself. I'd have just gone. I would have done.
But the weird thing is about this, slightly bit out there, they bring out this Gimp character from like the fucking...
Forgot about him.
From the cellar, or wherever he's sort of sleeping in so like a...
Do they just keep him like a sex slave? Is that what he is?
Yeah.
A bit horrible, isn't it?
So he's in there with Bruce, but he doesn't really do it. He kind of just sits and watch like a guard dog, really. Yeah. He doesn't really do anything devious or anything like that. He's kind of just there watching him. I
don't really know what his purpose is, apart from what will these people will create you to
do next. I don't know.
Make you be like as mild as a dog kind of thing, not, be so obedient once they've whacked it into you.
Yeah, so Bruce untangles himself and then knocks out the Gimp, which I don't know why he didn't unzip his mouth to go to the guys. Oh, wait, stop, guys, this guy's going to beat me up.
Oh, yeah, he could have done.
Yeah, he didn't. He had a zip on his mouth. It wasn't like his hands were tied.
No, but I think it's because he's a case of he's been so much beaten down that he's probably not even a human of a person, really.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
so
logical, isn't it? But, and then he just knocks him out.
Which I don't know if he actually dies or not, really, because he's kind of hung.
Well, considering Bruce Willis' character knocks out another guy unintentionally, I think he'd probably be weak enough to just a slight punch would probably be enough to knock him unconscious at the very least. But so then he runs upstairs and thinks, "Right, I'm going to go get away from it," but then it's like change of heart and think I'm going to go save.
I think he's thinking, well, I'd hope if that was me, I'd wish that he'd come back for me if they'd have picked me.
Yeah.
Or is it a case of, if I save him, then my arse is clear and I don't have to then be chased after him and be killed kind of thing. I'm not going to be on the run. So
he does go back to save him?
Yeah.
There's a bat, and he's like, no. Chainsaw, nah, maybe. Like, ran through him, and he's like, oh, katana, sword. Get from the shelf, top shelf stuff. And goes down and cuts down this hillbilly guy, and then
goes after
the cop. Well, the other guy, Marcellus, manages to get himself free after cop startles from doing his business with him.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot in the groin area.
Well deserved.
Well, yeah.
He's been using his groin for misconduct.
Yeah. So then they're basically even now, him and Bruce.
Yeah, and
so they get out of town.
Basically, I don't want to see you, but don't tell anybody about this again.
Yeah.
And I'm going to burn this place down, basically.
Yeah.
So Bruce
goes back to this thing, and he gets Zed, who's the police guy's chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though, bless her, she's already packed everything, he's like, we don't have time. I'm sorry, I've killed your car. We can't take the suitcases. We just got to go.
Yeah.
And she's like, are we in trouble? And she's worried because he's bleeding and like in a right state. Yeah. So she thinks he's injured and she's not really wanting to go on. And that's kind of the last you see of that story.
Yep, that's pretty much that story arc done.
So then, obviously now you know that Vince is dead.
Yeah, but now we've been back again to the other side of... or a previous scene that we've seen, but in a sort of different perspective of the guy in the bathroom at the apartment where Jules, which is Samuel L. Jackson's character, is giving his speech from the Bible passage. So then once all the shit is happening there, this other guy comes out from the bathroom and just like empties his gun, and somehow every single bullet misses.
That is ridiculous. It's like he must have a shocking aim. Because literally it went like from his shoulder then 2 is like literally
Almost
5
like
steps, and you could see that it was like literally missed.
All the bullet holes are in the wall behind them. They're kind of like
That's
and
quite
then,
funny.
and then go blow him away. Yeah.
Which is deservedly right too, because they did try to kill him. But then obviously, then Samuel L. Jackson's thinking it's a miracle and that God has redeemed him, and it's like, well, you've just killed loads of people and you've just thought you've witnessed a miracle for yourself. Why would he want to be saving you when you've done all this?
Don't know, but he seems to think that way. So then, they take the only other surviving person in the room. They're like, come on, we're going to go.
I don't know why they take him on, really.
I think he's a witness to the whole scenario, so it's like, but we don't see him for much longer, do we? Because he's riding in the car. And
this is ridiculous, this is. So, John Travolta is talking to him and pointing his gun, not in a malice way or anything like that.
No, just like casually, like, I don't know, and he's holding it, but it's like, obviously he's on the fingers on the trigger for some reason, and then accidentally blows his head off.
But that's apparently blamed Samuel L. Jackson because he went over a bump
It's like,
and ended up pulling the trigger. I'm thinking, well, that doesn't work that way. It's not like it just goes off, does it? You have to press it.
Well, depends how finicky the barrel is, but yeah, no, he definitely didn't go over a bump. He said he just accidentally pressed it too hard or whatever.
But why was he even pressing it in the first place?
I don't know.
So he kind of blows this poor guy's head off.
And there's blood all inside the interior of the car.
And literally driving in broad daylight. And now they've literally got the back seat covered in blood. Literally the back window you can't even see out of.
Yeah, against some more great dialogue between them there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's quite comical, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously now they're in a bad situation where they've got to sort out the car because they can't drive that legally around. And they have to get rid of the body and such. They go to an innocent friend of Samuel L. Jackson's to kind of cover up what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So Samuel rings his boss man, because obviously this guy's like tripping out saying, if my wife comes home and sees this dead body in my garage, then she's going to go ape. And I don't blame her. I think I would if...
I kind of pointed out it was Tarantino, who's this guy in the house. It's his garage that the car is in.
Which he did point out was like the same guy that was Mr. Brown in Reservoir Dogs. However, I was like, which was Mr. Brown again? Because I remember he wasn't in it for very long. Yeah. So it was nice to kind of get a bit more of a glimpse of this person, really, within the movie. Yeah.
So then Jules rings up Marcellus saying, like, what we're going to do. And we get the wolf to come in and sort out the situation.
Which I straight away knew you said to me, do you know who the wolf is? And I was like, yeah. I could recognise it just by the voice, which was Mr. White. So there's like, how many characters from Reservoir Dogs?
Oh yeah, and there was also earlier on, I pointed out, again, to be honest, I didn't actually know until I kind of saw it was a very different outfit he was wearing, but Mr. Pink. Yeah. He was one of the people in the Slims. Yeah. But anyway, he's a very small part. But yeah, no, it's not uncommon for a director to use the same actors in films.
About Mr. White, you had Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink, and then obviously Mr. Brown. So there's 4 of them from the same film there in one.
Yeah, so we get Winston Wolfe come in.
And Mr. Wolfe basically is your fixer-upper. He basically gets you out of all the rubbish that you've been in. Yeah. Cleans you all up and makes you look like you've not done anything wrong. Mm-hmm. So he comes in and telling Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta what to do. Yeah. How to clean the blood off the seats and then use these covers to cover it up and basically where to dispose the body, etc. Yeah. And then puts them in some shorts and a t-shirt, which they look like the geekiest 2 pair. That's
what they say, and they look like a couple of dorks.
Yeah.
But it's his clothes, so that's why they were wearing the clothes when they were going to see Marcellus with the briefcase earlier on, but later on in the narrative of how things go. But yeah.
So then, obviously once they're being fixed up, they then drive to get some food. Yeah. Which is then linking back with the first scene of the
film, yeah.
With the couple.
Yeah.
So they're in they're in the same restaurant as them too. Because it's like, well, how else is it going to tie back? Yeah. Because you literally haven't seen any of these characters. Yeah. All the way through the movie. So being in a diner, again, which looks relatively similar. Yeah. It's a case of, this might be where it ties all back in. So obviously Samuel L. Jackson's saying about wanting to kind of retire, in a so to speak, with
Yeah,
the line of job he's in.
Yeah, because of the miracle that he's just
Witnessed.
Yeah.
So he's wanting to be a good guy now because God's giving him another chance, so to speak.
Yeah.
So John Travolta ends up going to the toilet.
Yeah, at which point it follows with the I love you, honey bunny. This is a robbery thing, which I don't know for some reason. The way that she delivers her lines for the "don't you anybody move" whatever, but she says it differently for some reason. I don't know why that is. Why that isn't the same piece of dialogue that she says in from the very beginning. I don't know why that was. It was obviously a different take.
Yeah.
But it's like, why is that changed? But anyway, that's.
You pointed that out. I didn't notice that, but I think probably if we rewatched it again.
Yeah, no, it's because I've seen it times where it's like just kind of annoys me a little bit, but.
Yeah, because actually they've caused more work for themselves, really, in a sense.
Yeah, kind of. Like
but I'm wondering how tricky it would have been back then to. If it was on perhaps proper film.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't see what.
It's not like just you thinking, oh well, we'll just drop that bit of audio there and.
Could have done ADR, like fix the, I don't know, done a different shot, but make it sound like she was saying the same bit of audio.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not that tricky, but anyway. So then at this point, they're all going around like empty wallets in the bags and all that stuff. And they come across Jules, who's not letting this slide quite so easily. So it's like.
Well, he does give up his wallet. He does. He
does. Yeah, he puts it with that, but yeah.
But then the guy's greedy and wants to know what's in the briefcase.
Again, the MacGuffin of what's in there.
Which he doesn't give lightly. He doesn't actually give it until basically he's got a gun aimed at him. So
because he kind of like opens the briefcase to subdue him, like, oh, what's that? Again, and then kind of takes the opportunity to pull him
in back. And kind of get the gun off him.
Yeah.
And then obviously this honey bunny goes apeshit and he's like, ah, and has a fit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to shoot the gun at you and I'm going to kill you. Yeah. But obviously, like Samuel L. Jackson's saying, well, if you hurt me, then I'm going to hurt him and then you're not going to want that either and I don't want to be hurt. So let's all just be rational and calm.
Yeah.
There's a good bit of dialogue there as well.
Yeah.
With the conversations, and obviously he's wanting to be a good guy and so he does say, get my wallet out, and he kind of pays him to leave the briefcase alone because it's not his.
Yeah. Take
my money.
Yeah.
And go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
John Travolta does come out and kind of mess it up a little bit.
Yeah, it makes this a bit more awkward, but.
Yeah.
For him, but yeah, they all get out unscathed pretty much, and that's more or less that. And then go out with the briefcase, and film ends, leaving the restaurant.
I'm just looking at you like, what have I watched? He was dead, and then we're ending with him still being alive. And I know he's dead.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm aware that happened afterwards. Because obviously, like you said, they were wearing the clothes when the initially Bruce's character kind of got introduced. Yeah. So they've done the job. Yeah. And completed it, and then he's been on another job to go after Bruce.
I know it's.
I'm guessing Samuel had retired because he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like you said, he wasn't involved in this anymore, so he's obviously been hired to. John Travolta had been hired to go and suss him out. The way, obviously, this is the way it is portrayed for the whole feature film. So if it was put in the order that it's supposed to chronologically be in, I don't feel like it would be as effective now. Obviously, that's because that's how everybody sees the film. I don't know how well it would work, having it end, because it would end with Bruce Willis and his girlfriend riding off on the bike, and that's it. I don't know if that would be as effective the way it ends.
I guess not.
No. I don't know. There's something about it, but again, I think it
did take me a while to puzzle the pieces together. Like, because once we finished the movie, you kind of straight away looked at me for a response, and I was like looking at you like, I don't actually know what to say, and I was like, I'm gonna have to have a couple of, have some time to reflect and ponder on this, because it's not so straightforward that you can just kind of voice your opinion straight away. For me, anyways, personally, I didn't think so, and I did think it was pretty tricky to figure out initially what was the right order.
So I looked over it in the way that it's technically supposed to be put together. So if we're going by absolute very first part of the story, would be the introduction to Butch is, as a little boy, given the gold watch.
Mhm.
As the very, very first thing. I know it's only a very minor thing, but it's kind of like that's
It's relevant though,
it's
isn't it?
absolutely relevant to the thing. So then it would be Vince and Jules driving to the apartment to get the briefcase for Marcellus. They're leaving the apartment with that guy who gets shot in the head accidentally, and there's all Mr. Wolf and Vincent friend, and then disposing of the body in the car, all that stuff going on. And then they go to the diner where there's the robbery going on, and then they go take the case to Marcellus where Bruce is talking with him at that point in his club or whatever. And then there's that evening Bruce is having the fight, but at the same time this is where Mia and Vincent are going to Jackrabbit Slim's for the meal and the dance and all that stuff. So that's happening on the same night. Then the following day, obviously Bruce has gone back to the motel.
And Vince has got a new job.
It hints into like, I'm going to hire you to go and kill this guy who's walked out on me, for the fight. He's cost me all this thing, and that's that. And then that's where Vince dies in the apartment bathroom, and then the rest of it being, Bruce and Marcellus get caught in that hillbilly funny business, and then kill them. That's the thing, and then he goes off on the bike with his girlfriend. So that's
I just don't really feel like that's why I think Bruce is more of the main character. I think within this because he has like the happy ending, and it's more revolved around his story in the end.
No.
If you get where I'm coming from, and actually in the ending,
it's
more linked around him.
In this chronological ending, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weirdly, I don't find if there's anything that I love the most about this film, it's Vincent and Jules thing.
I agree,
because if it was just a film centered completely around them, I would be really happy. I would be absolutely fine with that because the way that the chemistry they bounce off each other and all that stuff. I think the
Bruce part was actually the most boring part of the film, but I do feel like the majority of it was.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Bruce, which
maybe that's why it's sort of in the middle, so to speak, and then you've got up until that bit, obviously where the Marcellus and him in the basement thing. That's the most interesting part of his story arc. Yeah.
It is a very interesting film, and it is one that you need to kind of pay attention to with the flitting back and forth. But I do agree with you. Weirdly, it works better because it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I think the story that you've just read wouldn't keep you on your toes, and you wouldn't be as intrigued to know what's going on. Because initially I'm like, what is going? I actually do not have a clue what I'm watching here. So we're flitting and flitting and flitting. I'm like, I don't even know any of the characters. I don't know who the main character is. I don't know what the story or the plot is.
Yeah.
So it was tricky initially, but once you kind of get into it and you get the dance with Vince and Mia, it does kind of loosen up and it's starting to get quite good, and the dialogue is pretty on form.
Yeah. Right, so I think we've talked long enough now. We'll go straight to the scoring.
Oh, been very, very firm there, Mr. Parks.
Yeah, I think I don't know how long we've been yabbering on, but quite a while. So
I'd say I'd probably need to rewatch it again because I think it is one of those that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely rewatchable. There's a lot of.
Because I feel like I might have missed quite a bit.
Yeah.
With not understanding truly why we were flipping back and forth.
But it's a very popular film. Everybody seems to.
I would from it. Probably wouldn't score it mega high like a 9, but I wouldn't low score it. I'd probably say it'd be an 8.
Okay.
That's more for the dialogue and the humour and the John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson and the Mia scene.
Okay. Yeah, they're characters.
They were my kind of favourite parts of the film.
Yeah.
You could cut the Bruce Willis part out for me and it wouldn't lose too much. Especially that other weird scene that could, with Bruce and Marcellus, that could definitely be cut out for my liking. But it's kind of like the bad guys, but they're still humorous and lovable, and I like that.
So you're going with 8, you say?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm being very, very decisive.
So this would almost be a 10, but I think what does lay it down, as I've just said about, is the middle part with Bruce Willis' character is a bit. That doesn't interest me as much as the rest of it. Like I say, if it was mostly Jules and Vincent throughout the entire storyline, that would be almost like 10 and 10 perfect for me. I'd be so happy with that going all the way through. But alas, it isn't. So for me, it's a 9.
That's quite highly scored,
Yeah.
that is, for you.
Yeah. But there's a lot of rewatchability with it in
Yeah, there
most
is.
aspects. Just for the dialogue itself is just...
It is golden,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really is. And like, you don't really get that dialogue nowadays. It is quite boring, whereas actually, it is quite fast-lived, but
Yeah.
you're intrigued.
But it's very quotable. There's a lot of the stuff, isn't there? So
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of memorable scenes and stuff. So it's kind of what is just a good staple of a solid film that you do want to watch again, rather than just be like, yes, naff, I don't want to see that ever again.
Do you want to just refer back to the front cover of the actual DVD or
Yeah.
Blu-ray or whatever you've got?
Yeah.
Which actually is of Mia.
Yeah.
Which is quite strange because actually I thought she had a bigger role
Mhm.
in this, but actually her part isn't that big either. So I did think that was a bit peculiar, but I'm guessing it's just for the publicity side of a pretty girl being on the front cover of...
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really looked into why that is the case of her being on the cover, but yeah, it does look a bit more appealing than just two guys pointing a gun at someone off shot
Yeah.
or whatever or something. But
I think it's just backwards again, but that's what kind of the film is to me. It's
yeah,
a good backwards
it
film.
interprets your expectations of what you expect to happen.
Yeah,
in
none of
that
that.
sense, yeah.
I didn't expect any of that to happen.
No, but you enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, and once you kind of got used to the flitting and understanding what's going kind of on, I think it was pretty much into the second part of the film, like halfway through, and then kind of getting used to, right, that bit's
How this
ended,
works, yeah.
and then this is coming in,
Yeah.
and then it was more enjoyable, whereas initially I was like, I'm a bit confused.
Well, it did give you sort of like title cards, like when sections were happening, so
Yeah.
that sort of helps that you get along. But yeah, so you probably watch it again at some point down the line to sort of refresh on what you sort of know, and now get more involved in what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's what you need to do, but definitely has rewatchable value to it.
Okay.
Because it's one of those where I'll have definitely missed something trying to jigsaw the pieces together.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But I really, really enjoyed it. I know it's one of those iconic films that most people will have seen.
Yeah, very iconic, yeah.
But it's obviously just missed my radar.
Further down the line, we'll try and get through the other Tarantino films, because he's really one of my favourite directors.
I have actually enjoyed it just for the dialogue for both Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. And there's certain scenes where the creativity of the camera angles.
Yep.
You can see that there's iconic shots. And just certain angles, the way that they do things, it was just completely different to what you'd normally watch. There's nothing samey about it.
It's hard to beat. So thank you for listening to what we've had to say.
Hope you've enjoyed what we've had to say, and hopefully we might encourage you to watch some of the films that we have reviewed, apart from Borat.
Don't listen to her.
That's the only one that I would say don't waste your time on.
So you can check us out on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, wherever else you may get your podcasts from. And of course we're also on Twitter and Instagram under the handle SP Film Viewers.
As well as our Facebook.
Yes, we've recently launched that as well, so find us on there too. So thank you once again, and we'll speak to you next time.
Thank you for listening, and speak to you next time. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Bye now.
Bye.